The times that black children are inheriting is one of the most critical times in the history of our people in reality for a number of different reasons, not just because of the political environment, even though that obviously is an impact, not just because of the social environment, even though that is a very, very large impact, not just because of the economics that are affecting us, but the reason that it is such a large issue is because we are in a state of historical transition that is unprecedented. And the reality of it is the extent to which we understand the times that we're living in and prepare our children for what is to come, how to be viable in the future, is the extent to which we'll either come out of a lot of the dysfunctions of our heritage as a people, or we'll wind up repeating the same cycles that we have for the last 400 or 500 years. I think black parents are challenged with helping their kids understand identity and purpose. And those two drivers are going to determine the quality of life that they live and the extent to which they are going to live as value-added people, or they are just going to be languishing in life trying to figure it out. And in many cases, as has been the case with our people, particularly our young males, wind up being a part of a machinery that's really already not in their favor. The people that raised me did shape me pretty profoundly, more than I realized at the time. And I'll start with my mother, who was a single mom, and she really stressed with my brother and I that we would be working men. She had a tremendous work ethic, and we picked that up from her. And then she also stressed how we would treat women. That was very significant. Our lineage was a little challenged in that particular area, and we were able to grow up with an understanding that we were going to be good family men. I also had my uncle and aunt that I've referred to many times that I lived with for 1 year. I found Christ under my uncle's guidance. He was a pastor. And that obviously changed the trajectory of my life pretty significantly as well. The three things that I believe that black children need to understand from a parental standpoint is, number one, that it's in Christ we find out who we are and what we're living for. And from that identity, the understanding of the gifts and the abilities that we have, they help shape our life purpose. The second thing that is important for black people to understand is that children have to be trained. The discipline of what is right and how to do it the right way is something that we as parents have to instill. They're not going to get that anywhere else other than from the home. And the third thing that black parents need to understand is that the education of their children is critical to their future. The reality of it is that many of our black children today, if you ask them what they think about education, it's mediocre, okay, to I don't like education at all. And that is a death knell to the future of any child if that is not developed. Every black child has a gifting in mathematics or science or literature or history. Every black child does. And the goal of that child should be to discover that unique gifting before they graduate from high school. I was fortunate enough to discover my gifting in literature and history as a sophomore in high school, and it changed my trajectory. And that will be the case of every child that really figures that out early. It makes a huge difference. The first hard conversation really should be around the understanding that the child is being trained for their future, that there are certain understandings, there's certain instruction, there's certain disciplines that they have to have in order to really be a value-add person in life, and the parent is the one to instill that. The goal of the parent is not to be the kid's friend, but to help them understand that you are here for a life purpose, and I have to help prepare you for that. The stake is to repeat the history that we have been experiencing for the last 400 years in the United States, and I'll use the United States even though the black children and families are affected all over the world. For the last 400 years in American society, we have just straight up been on the bottom. We've been on the bottom socially, economically, from a political standpoint, we have. And although there are a lot of systemic things behind that, there's no question about that, we still have a part to play in it. And we do have to take responsibility. One of the things that we have to do is help our children understand the importance of identity, purpose, and also we have to train and educate them about some of the dangers out there that define our future. And I'm just going to say it, no matter how controversial it may be. There are so many elements of what we call black culture today that are working against our young people. And we as a people have to come to a place of understanding that just because somebody has millions of dollars and they have a loud voice, that it doesn't mean that they are going to help our children get to the place where they are going to have the impact that their lives are designed to have. I want them to walk away knowing that it's in Christ that we find out who we are and what we're living for. There are so many resources for parents. There are pastoral resources in the community and a good community church that can create that village that is necessary. But the reality of it is that children have to be trained in the way that they are supposed to go. And when parents become committed to doing that, they don't have to be perfect. It's not important for them to feel that they have to be perfect, that everything is going to work out just the way they want it to. The reality of it is that there are going to be a lot of X factors as the children grow. But the most important thing is to do our part in terms of creating an environment where they are able to grow with the understanding of identity and purpose. They understand the importance of education. They are held accountable for doing their part, do the things that are required of them. And then the children will definitely catch on to that. And later down in life, even if they stray, even if they struggle with it for a while, they will come back to that foundation. Black Man, A Prophecy of Hope for the Times Ahead is a book that certainly touches on a number of different issues as it pertains to where we are in this time in human history. There is no question that any person who invests the time in reading the book will walk away from it encouraged, inspired, and even empowered to understand where we are. And if they choose to follow the course that is laid out in the book and they are committed to the principles that are laid out, there's no way that they can do that and the impact to their lives not be strong, deep, and robust. Black Man, A Prophecy of Hope for the Times Ahead can be found at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Bookshop.org, ReaderHouse.com, Goodreads.com, and on the Apple platform. I hope you will purchase the book, read it, and engage in dialogue with me at info@gregldavis.com. And I hope you will also glean from my social media work and like my pages.